ay, yeah. Ay, ay, ay. Miracles come while we in the fight. Don't give up and hold him tight. You will have a visible battle scar, but never forget who you are and fight, fight, fight.
Hello, and welcome to Embrace the Fight. I am Erica Lamar, your digital creator and host. I created Embracing the Fight to help normalize the conversation surrounding physical and mental health issues and concerns. And you all know that I have been telling you about my fight with thyroid cancer, the issues I've had with my gallbladder and weight loss, things of that nature. But I thought it was really important to start bringing people on each week to talk about their personal fight. And these people have been courageous. They have shared so much to try to help others. And this story today is just as amazing as the other stories that you heard. The healing, the presence of God in their lives, all the great things that have helped them overcome the issue that they are dealing with. And I have known this person for several years. They were a coworker, and they're actually going to come on and tell us all about their personal fight. But before we do that, I need y'all to do me a favor. I need you to click like, click subscribe, click share to make sure the message is getting out. Because the further the message goes, the further the healing can potentially go. So just take a moment. It's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Embrace the Fight on YouTube. It's free. It doesn't cost you a dime to spread a good message that will help somebody. I bet y'all sending them crazy jokes and stuff out. I'm sure you are, because I send them too, but I share my message as well. So I'm asking that you take a moment to share the message that can help save lives. So take a moment, take a look. All right. Hello, and welcome to Embracing the Fight. I am Erica Lamar, your digital creator and host, and I have a very special episode for you today. And I have a very special guest. You see my handsome friend over here on the screen. I'm going to let him introduce himself. And then after he introduces himself, we're going to talk about why he chose the title, Understanding the Reasons Why. So, can you tell us who you are and how we met?
Yes, my name is Barry. I'm not going to say the name of the company that we both worked for, but it was in the mining industry. And many years ago, a friend of mine that was working at our sister plant in the Alabama operations passed away unexpectedly. And you were selected to fill his role. So the powers at the time, thinking, hey, we got this old grizzled veteran, of the trench wars and the mining industry and the politics, thought we ought to spend a little time together. So you came up to my plant in Virginia, and we spent about a week together. So that's how we met. Okay. And I won't mention who we work for. That's not a good thing here. So, but that's how we met. Okay. And the time we worked together, we tried to help one another out. So.
And I want everyone listening to know that Barry is an extremely intelligent man. He knows everything you need to know about a certain type of stone. And he's one of the best quality managers I've ever met. Very thorough, always very kind. And one thing that I really, really admired about him was he used to run, all the time. And I would tell myself, at that point when I met Barry, I was like, I'm too old to be out here running. And then he's just telling how he's running all these miles uphill and everything. And I'm like, well, I guess, if he's still encouraged to run, I should encourage myself. But I hate to tell you, Barry, I'm still not running. So with that,
well, then,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Telling my story, I'll make some mentions of that. So it plays a big part.
Okay. So why did you choose the episode title of Understanding the Reasons Why?
Erica, I'm a firm believer that God's hand plays a part in every step in your life, and not just for believers. Okay, I think on non-believers as well. Most people don't think that way. I very rarely ever have a conversation with anybody about it, but as humans, we learn by what I call the law of opposites. Hot, cold, dark, light, good, evil. Some of us are fortunate in this journey in life to be learning from the good side, and and we have brethren that are not as lucky, and they learn from the dark side,
Right.
the addiction and things like that. So, preface my story on that. I'll go back to, and this was after we met, but 2011. My then wife and I were in counseling, marriage counseling, for about a year, and it came up to the end of it. A very respected counselor, Christian counselor, and I really liked the guy. And we've been going for about a year, every other week. And he asked my wife, he said, "Look, he's done everything you asked him to do."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "What more can he do?" And she got angry and left.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and he told me right then, he said, "I give it 6 months." Well, it was actually 3 months. And she said, "Let's drop the kids off to church and go get breakfast at the Cracker Barrel." And that's where she told me, said, "I want to get out." Okay.
Wow.
So that's and parcel to what is going to follow here in just a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm out for a year, I'm living alone,
Mm-hmm.
and I spent all my non-working hours with my kids. So you can imagine how that was.
Yes.
But after about a year, I said, "You know what, this is not doing you any good." And I thought to myself, I do want a relationship with a woman, you know. And the wife and I tell this all the time. How we met was on ourtime.com, the dating site for
Yes.
people over 50.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just turned 50.
Okay.
She was 43 when we met, but
Mm-hmm.
but I got out with a couple other ladies, really nice and everything like that, but they weren't entirely truthful. Their pictures were from
Right.
maybe 10 years, that kind of. And my current wife, her name is Lisa. We
Mm-hmm.
corresponded for a while, and she told me, she said, "You may get here and just turn around and leave when you see me." And that was really honest. But
Mm-hmm.
we really hit it. Okay.
Okay.
So we ended up dating, getting married, uh, and we're the Brady Bunch. I've got girl, boy, girl. She's got girl, boy, girl, and are all really close in age.
Mm-hmm.
So that worked really well. We got married. My youngest daughter and her youngest daughter were living with us at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I had gone to visit my son, and my youngest daughter went with me so she could visit her mother,
Mm-hmm.
and just didn't feel right that evening.
Mm-hmm.
My youngest daughter just got her driver's license, no, her learner's permit. So I let her drive home. It's about 40 miles.
Oh,
I
wow.
get there, and my wife's sitting at the kitchen table, and my other stepdaughter was there, who happened to be an RN. My
Mm-hmm.
wife is a nurse. She
Okay.
took one look at me and she said, "Something's wrong. You don't look good." She said, "How do
Mm-hmm.
you feel?" I said, "I don't feel good." So she got her blood pressure cuff out.
Mm-hmm.
She couldn't even finish it. It scared her so bad she couldn't finish it. So my step there, she's an RN, and she stepped up and finished it. She wouldn't tell me what it was, but she said, "You're going to the ER." And when I got there and they took my blood pressure, well, the nurse said, "You're 260 over 160. They couldn't believe I hadn't stroked out. So my whole point in this is, if I hadn't got divorced and hadn't married a nurse, I probably would have died.
Yeah.
Because, even if the wife and I had stayed together, she's a dental hygienist, but that's totally, totally different,
Mm-hmm.
from a health professional nurse.
Right.
Uh, so, my point was, okay, God was looking out for me. He said, "Down the road, son, you're going to need a nurse."
Mm-hmm.
And as it turns out of my 6 kids, 5 of them are in the healthcare industry, and my son is getting his doctorate in theology.
Okay.
So, really healthcare family.
Yeah, that's good.
And my wife is home. You hear anything, that's her.
Okay.
She won't be cussing me or anything like that. So, the reality of this is God's hand is moving. Okay. And I went through all the battery of tests. They did a CT scan. And they said, "Oh, you've got right renal stenosis, the right kidney. That's what's causing the blood pressure problems." And they did the scan. I said, "Well, a heart and all of that." "Nope, no problem up there. Everything looks good."
Mm-hmm.
And for 6 years, I was being treated for renal stenosis. Got up eventually to 5 blood pressure medicines. That was it was tedious, I can tell you, because I would bend over and almost pass out, that kind of thing. So, you fast forward, up to, I guess, 2021. One of my lab techs had to go off for knee surgery, and it was in the fall of the year, and that's when it's heavy vacation time up here, obviously, because of hunting, that kind of thing. So guess who got to start filling in? Well, all these vacations. I only had two people, so I was going at 1 o'clock in the morning, working at least, only having a 4-hour vacancy between the last guy being there and, having some coverage. And that went on until the year, and he finally came back. And of course, you remember the performance evals and all that kind of thing.
Yes.
So going on then. And for the first time in my 40 years of employment there, I got an unsatisfactory new boss, and he had different thoughts on how quality should be done. And his thing was always more is better. And, I did this statistical analysis and said, okay, this is representative of the process. No, wasn't good enough for him. So I was placed in, I guess, they had a counselor working with me. Well, you need to do this, this, and this, and all. And my wife again takes a look at me, after about 3 months of this, and said, you're working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's killing you.
You're killing yourself.
You're only 2 months away from being 59 and a half. Why don't you just come on out? Your mom's in a nursing home. Spend time with her. You'll never regret that. And so I did. We talked about it. I put in my letter of retirement. Then 3 weeks after that, I went to my well visit at my practitioner, my healthcare practitioner. And I told her, I said, I was really looking forward to being able to, start running more. And I said, but after I hit 1.5 miles, 1.75 miles, I get violently ill. And I told her, I said, I think it's my gallbladder. And she said, well, maybe we'll order up a ultrasound for that. And it was clear. She said, okay, let's do a stress test. Did my first stress test, and the guy says, I'm going to need you to come back tomorrow. I was like, okay. I went back. And, well, as it turns out, they found 2 100% blockages in my heart. The two main in the front. So, and I was like, they can't stent them. They said, no, when they're blocked, you're going to have open heart surgery and, grafts put in past that. And as it turns out, I hadn't had a heart attack because my heart had grown its own bypasses, but they didn't carry enough blood to, really support any heavy exercise. So, when I had the surgery done, the surgeon actually found 2 more 100% blockages on the back. So I actually had 4. Now, here's where I'm talking about God's hand working in my life, because if I'd have stayed in that job, I would have ignored that. I would have just went to my well visit, had my A1C check, that kind of thing. And, I would have died there. I would have died at that desk. I have a firm belief that I would have been there.
Wow.
And, and it's not just the health issues in my life where I see God's hand moving. But there are other things. You met me. I was already a quality manager at that time, but I started back into the laboratory I went out of the laboratory, went into distribution, moving rail cars, trucks around. And then your predecessor, whom you were hired to take over for, he came up and he went to the plant manager and said, you already got your guy over there. Said, get him out of there. And he can move stuff around on rail. Put him back over there. There's no learning curve. He knows the quality, the environmental, all of that. He said, you're going to be money ahead. So they gave me a raise above what I'd been doing, went back. Now, here's another hand. The quality director of the company kept sending me, things and said, hey, is this a list of what a quality manager's responsible for? And I said, yeah, pretty much. That's it. I said, but why are you sending it to me? He said, well, I figured you had a good idea. I'm like, man, I'm a lab supervisor. I'm not a quality manager. Well, 30 days later, I was a quality manager. Okay. So there again, God's hand is moving. So, I look back on this, and I think a lot of people don't take the time to reflect and look back how things went and how they could have been much different. And there's only one thing. God said, hey, not done with you yet. I've got a little almost 90-year-old mother. I spend a lot of time with her. I'm close, so if anything, and event, if something would happen to her, I will go back to work somewhere. I've got a buddy that's associated with selling the waste products that we generated, and he still have to come to work for him. And I would end up making more money than I ever made there, but it's just not time. I
Right.
have other things to do. And when I did retire, I found out, I had some good friends that are neighbors here. My buddy over there, the second day I was retired, I was replacing the toilet and fixing a shower for him because he couldn't do it. And did it. And now I've got a neighbor across the road who had COVID for 3 months, and he's only got a quarter of his lung capacity. And he had a bit of security cameras and, the security doors and things like that. He's only got 4 customers left, but he's not physically able to service them. He's like, hey, I'll pay you if you go along with me just because you can stand on a ladder and you can work a screwdriver. So I'm helping 2 of my neighbors. And maybe not the ultimate thing I was spared for, but I can be good. Just when they asked Christ about what the greatest commandment was, is love your God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself.
That's right.
And that's what I do. And sometimes it's just monetary things. I've got buddies, that have had a hard time, lost 2 homes, 2 good friends lost homes at fires, helped them out financially. I did that anonymously. They don't know I did it, but just things like that. We have to count our blessings and reflect on how we can help other people. And I genuinely believe that's what I was spared for, because I should have been dead in 2016. 260 over 160, that's massive heart stroke territory. So, and the only thing I regretted from retiring was I had 4 good guys that worked for me there in that laboratory in the quality system, and 2 of them have been run off.
Really?
Yeah, the other 2 are just hanging in there. They've hired a couple good people in, but the learning curve is pretty steep for that, for really, really being good. You can do the testing, that kind of thing, but the understanding
it.
So that's my story. And the way I look at it, I figure if God has spared me, then the least I can do, I haven't got back to running yet. I made mention a while ago, I haven't done that yet. And simply for the reason is walking is so much more pleasurable.
Oh, yeah.
It's a whole lot of my legs. And it gives me time to reflect and, and to meditate on things. And, you can read the Bible all the time, but the best thing to do is take that scripture with you in your head and meditate on it. What did this mean? What did Christ mean by this? What did the Apostle Paul mean by this?
That's right.
For an hour and a half, I can just let my mind go. And I think I'll stay a little bit longer too, because I'm aware of all the cars. When you're running, it's a little tough.
Yeah, you looking around, make sure you're not getting hit.
Now, when it gets cold, that's when I'll start running again, because I really don't want to be out there for that long, so I'll go out and get it done and come back in.
I understand that. Well, you've said so much that you make me really want to unpack and ask questions about. First, I'm just thankful to hear that you have someone that truly loves you, in your life now, one that pays so much attention to you that she could tell, that there was something wrong, there was something going on with you. So, I'm truly grateful for that. And it amazes me that you also said that your children, the majority of them are in healthcare and one's in theology. So you might as well say all of them are in healthcare because God's a healer. And you were healed. But I just, it's amazing that you have such a strong support system, and then you turn around, even though you're dealing with, recovery and everything, you're able to help others, and you're not even thinking, a second thought about it, because you realize that God, has saved you for this purpose. So my question would be, how would you encourage someone who doesn't have like the support system that you have? How would you tell them to recognize, symptoms that they have wrong? Like if they don't have like a wife like what you have, or they don't have children that could recognize these things, what should they look at, themselves when they start going through it? Because you were, pointing at different, body systems, but you never really thought about the heart because they told you your heart was fine, to start. You were like, okay, it might be my gallbladder, they're treating my kidneys. How do you tell someone who's going through, the similar things that you went through, what to look for when dealing with heart issues?
As far as recognizing that, having the issues with the running, and I really wanted to get back to running because I'd been walking for a couple years, and it was really fun and that kind of thing. But my big thing, and women are not nearly as bad about this as men are, but men will ignore things and push through. And that was me. I'm hard-headed. To that point, no, I'm okay. It'll be all right. I'll sleep on it. It'll be better in the morning. No, you're a guy, and it's something really out of the norm, aches and pains, and maybe you got inflammation, that kind of thing. Those are normal things. But when you start having chest pain, or if you have trouble breathing, or if you have a massive headache, that may be from blood pressure. Put off your macho image and your masculine thing and go get checked. That's what I would say for men. And if you're good, and they tell you everything's fine, get out and move. I have 3 rules for myself. Good, nutritious food, high in protein. That's my big thing. Move. Get out and walk, run, do whatever. Number 3 is resistance training. I spend a lot of time, or used to spend a lot of time. I've started doing 3 workouts during the week, low volume, very intense, with heavy weights, 1 set of 7 to 8 repetitions. It's designed to take you almost to failure in that, and it's time efficient. And I really started noticing the difference when I switched from that, from lighter weights to a lot of repetition, that kind of thing. I mean, it's because weightlifting is not endurance.
Okay.
Not an endurance sport. It's you're building strength. If you build strength, you're going to build muscle.
Right.
4th thing I do is feed your mind. You got to feed the spiritual part of it. And Erica, I have an endless curiosity about everything in this universe. I love, quantum physics. That fascinates me. But also, I like history. I was a history major in college. I love that. So, feed your mind. You can't let that be stagnant. And a couple things about the benefits of exercise and weightlifting, all that kind of thing now that they're coming out and saying, okay, people that are prone maybe to dementia, Alzheimer's, that is the best thing you can do to stave that off. All the little mental puzzles and things they do does not help you. Exercise does. Also, if you're depressed, exercise. That's the biggest thing. And if you're depressed, exercise, get yourself in shape, and make a point daily to go help somebody else who needs help.
That's true.
That really helps depression. So being a retired person, and I work a lot and everything like that, but I have a lot of time to feed my mind, and you feed it wholesome things, wholesome knowledge, spiritual things, and it's surprising what a world of difference it makes.
Okay. And I'm curious too, when you were talking about all the blockages, in your heart, was it from the way you were eating? Because it sounds like you eat pretty healthy and you were running regularly. Was it genetic, or is it something that you've seen, in your family, your family's medical history or anything like that, or was this just, out of the blue?
30 years close to the day that my father had his done, quadruple bypass.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
But he was older. He was 7 years older. I had it done at 58 years old. 59. Sorry. Yeah, 59. But I've done a lot of studying on our food sources and things like that. One of the big things is seed oils. There's a lot of oil in seed, so they have to use chemicals like hexane to extract after doing all that study, and then I'll talk about my diabetes after I make this point. But
Mhm.
buy cold pressed, first run olive oil. It's really
Okay.
good. In biblical times, what did they have? Olive
Olive
oil.
oil, and vinegar.
So that, and vinegar. Yeah. So, I think part of that, uh, over the years, when I was growing up, we grew all our food, hunted
Mhm.
or fished for it.
Mhm.
I was 18 years old before I tasted a steak. I had no idea
Okay.
what beef tasted like. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Ate a lot of fish, a lot of rabbit, a lot of squirrel. A lot of people think that's a rodent, but man, you fix it up and make some gravy, it's really good. But
I just don't think you
uh,
get much meat off of a squirrel.
those hind legs are pretty thick. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And if you have 4 or 5 of them, that's pretty good. But America, our diet is really gone downhill. So much fast food, things like that. When you
Mhm.
really look into what is in a lot of our foods, and so much of it is the chemical
Mhm.
preservatives and things like that.
Mhm.
Sugar is just a toxin. That's all
Mhm.
it is.
It's true,
Uh,
but I love it.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I love it too. But I was diagnosed as diabetic the same time they found the renal stenosis. A week later, my care called me up and says, "Oh yeah, by the way, you're diabetic. Need you educate yourself. Put you on this medicine, that medicine." I'm pretty hard headed. I
Mhm.
always say I will take that under consideration. Took
Mhm.
the medicine for 1 week, and all I did was stay in the bathroom. And I said, I can't do this. I have to work. So I
Mhm.
went another way. I cut the refined sugar out of my diet,
Mhm.
uh, on protein, good fats, that sort of thing. My A1C has been non-diabetic since November 2016.
That's great. So you're not on any medication right now, not
None.
even for your heart, nothing at all.
Well,
Wow, that's amazing.
I take a little bit of blood pressure medicine because I still have the renal stenosis, but
Right.
I was on 5 different medications. Now I'm down to one, and it's half the dose that I was on before.
Oh
So
wow.
that
Okay.
that so, but you think about, you go back to biblical times, and I mean they ate roughage, and
Mhm.
everything was really healthy: goat meat, sheep, that kind of thing. Uh, and I'm really trying to do something similar here because today's society, where our food sources and things are,
Mhm.
it's bad. And I've done a lot of research into that. So, and I've encouraged my children, my
Mhm.
stepchildren too. If you can eat healthy, and find somebody that raises grass-fed beef with no antibiotics and things like that.
Mhm.
Uh, it's just shocking to me after I've done the research what's out there. Even
Right.
drinking water, fluoride is supposedly good for our teeth.
Mhm.
It's also a toxin. And it's a forever chemical. Once it gets in your body, it's
It
there.
doesn't come
So
out right. Mhm.
yeah. So for years I used to kind of make fun of the folks that were doing the holistic
Yep.
thing, and I understand why now. I
Yep.
understand why now. It impacted my health, and when I was raising kids on one salary, that kind of thing, house
Yeah.
payments, car, I had to go the cheap route, and I really hate myself now for what I've potentially done to my kids.
I don't know. You have to do, what you have to do. They're alive. They have the time to, turn that around because they can
Yeah,
choose to eat healthy now. So you did
and
the
that's
best you could with what you had. So never look at yourself like that. And plus, God took care of them as well.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I do have one other question for you.
Okay.
What advice would you give a person that's going through what you're going through right now? Because you kind of mentioned, depression a little bit. You didn't say that you went through depression, but you were saying how it impacts, your mental state. And some people, if they're told that they have so much blockage in their heart, they automatically think, I'm going to die. So how do you encourage someone who is at the beginning of where you were when you turned 59 and a half?
Just remember, you have the issues like this, the blockages in the heart. It's not a death sentence. They're going to take care of you and put these grafts in. And all my friends are like, oh, because I was walking 3 miles a week after the surgery. You know,
Wow.
yeah, slow, but I was doing it, and all my friends and my family said, oh, don't overdo it, don't overdo it.
Mm-hmm.
I go see a cardiologist. He said, no, this is exactly what I want you to do.
Yep.
He said, all of my patients, they figure, hey, I better not do anything. I could have a heart attack. This. And he said, we fixed your heart.
Yep.
Do it. Get out and move. Unless you have some other, other issues going on, get out and move. And I'm extreme in everything I do. So I'll walk 5-6 miles a day. Most people, if you can't do that, walk 2, walk 1, walk a half a mile. And then your movements around normally during the day, they all count too. But it's just the willpower. Get out and move. Lift some weights. You're sitting in your recliner, have you some dumbbells. You're watching TV, just sit there and work that arm up and down. They don't have to be heavy. Because one of the biggest things about human beings is in mid-30s, they start losing muscle tone.
That's true.
And if you're a diabetic, the biggest thing to burn off glucose is muscle. Build some muscle, walk, do that, And then later on in life, your mobility is going to be a whole lot better. The biggest thing that kills older folks is the loss of muscle, and then they fall, they break it up, then it's pneumonia, and then they're gone, So there's so much about clarity of mind and ease of thought that exercise and things like that will do for you. And if they fix your heart, get out and go. There's not, you might have to take a while because it's going to be a little sore. Mine still hurts when I try to do dips and, pull-ups and things like that. But like I said, I'm extreme. I figure if I can't do 20 pull-ups, I'm not male, That's just me.
Oh, I understand. I mean, you're actually inspiring me to, after we get off here, to go out and walk around my neighborhood, because I find myself, coming home from work, sitting down, reading a book. Next thing I know, wake up, it's dark outside. It's like, wait a minute, this is not, the right way to get healthy and stay healthy. So I thank you for, that advice, because, my family has some heart issues, in our history. And I don't want that to be something that I have to deal with just because of what I eat and not exercising. So I thank you so much, for taking time out of your busy schedule. Is there anything else that you like to share, anything else you'd like to say before we end the podcast?
The only thing I'll say, love your family and your friends. You only have so much time with them. You might be the limiting factor, or they might be the limiting factor. But yeah, I've got some good friends, and my family is fantastic. We're looking forward to my wife's Yankee cousins are coming down this week, and they're going to be here, and we're going there, and then we're having a reunion. That kind and
Sounds like
she's from Connecticut, and these people are loud, they're rude, they're crude, they curse.
That sounds like lots of fun.
Oh, I love them all to death. I love them all to death. So, but Erica, I really appreciate you giving me a platform. It's been enjoyable.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And whenever you get this thing done, send me a link. I might share it with a few free friends of mine.
Absolutely. Okay? I will definitely do that. All right. You have a good evening, and tell your wife that I think that she is an amazing individual. And, God used her to help keep you here. And I'm just glad that you all were able to meet and be married and stay married, and you be healthy through all of this.
I will do that. And, I love you. You take care. Okay?
All right. Love you too. All right. Great seeing you, Barry.
Great seeing you. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another amazing episode of Embracing the Fight. And I am so thankful that Barry stopped in to tell us his story. If you're starting to feel different, if you don't feel normal, please go and see a doctor. Don't suppress the feeling that, oh, you're just weak, or oh, you're just tired. Because in Barry's case, his wife was phenomenal. And she noticed that even though he was thinking he still needed to push himself, she's the one who said, no, this isn't you. This isn't, going to help you any. You need to get checked out. You need to find out what's going on. And then they were able to get him away from a stressful environment where he was working, and he's able to thrive, and he's able to help people. Is that your story? Can that be you? But are you paying attention to the symptoms? So thank you so much for taking a moment to sit down and watch Embracing the Fight and hear Barry's story. Now take the time to take care of you. And if you have a story that you'd like to share, please send me a message to operations@diversitydesigned.com. And just give me an idea, of what your testimony is and what you would like to share to help people heal. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to Embracing the Fight. Have an absolutely amazing day.